Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burrs, one of the owners of EWR Digital, and that guy over there is...
My name is Matt Bertram, and I'm the lead strategist here at EWR Digital.
Welcome back to another fun-filled... He's also one of the owners, like, just so you know that. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of our podcast, the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing, where you can learn all sorts of amazing things about search engine optimization and internet marketing for your business, enterprise, or sub-enterprise, or micro business. There's lots of really good information here available to you. Hey, you were talking about some algorithm updates. And you wanted to like share some stuff. So
so I can share this link and put them in the call notes. But
wait, before you do that,
okay,
I have a review. Got to read this. This review is from. Sorry, excuse me for eating. I'm just famished. Jay Fritz. Title of the review is "What Happened." The review is great podcast, good material and topics, but come on, guys, your audio is horrific. Didn't you just invest in a studio for your office? This is becoming hard to listen to. Get a sound mixer, which actually makes me think, let me double check. And I thought I did already. Yes, I think I was using the wrong microphone. It was actually like a microphone on the camera that was inside of the teleprompter. And so it couldn't hear it. And
see, he invested in a teleprompter there. But what I can tell you is we have a legit studio that we are almost finished with. We had to move offices, but
we had one. We had one, and then COVID kind of caused a lot of like movements and stuff, and now we have one again.
Yes, and you are not at that studio, and neither am I. Right now.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. And I know my audio might have been bad on the last one because I was broadcasting, I think, out of a closet. But it was your mic that people said was bad, that the feedback I got. So I have a headset on. Hopefully I sound good. If you hear crying babies at a point in the future, that is
a sign of a really good digital marketing agency.
No, I mean, we'll add, that's actually like After Effects. No, just kidding. But yeah, so I'm out of town right now working remotely. That's a beautiful thing about what we do. I have this really cool setup, Chris. Actually, I invested in it before I left because like my shoulders and neck kind of hurt if I'm like looking down at a keyboard all day, and it's holding my laptop like up where it's head level, and then I had to get a wireless keyboard that I'm typing from, and so now it's right on, and it's been great because I've been able to work without getting kind of like shoulder cramps or something like that.
Have you thought about William's setup where he's got the two monitors that pop out on either side?
I've thought about it.
Really awesome.
We need to get William on one of these next podcasts, maybe this next month, to talk about Cohosta because it's officially launched. We're just continuing to do some design work, but the whole back end's up and running. We got new clients we're onboarding for SEO hosting. I think it's something worth sharing. I know a lot of people are dealing with either speed issues, optimization issues, security issues, that sort of thing. I also have an article that is going to be published on Search Engine Journal this month related to back-end speed optimization. I would encourage y'all to check it out. So
very cool. Yes. Yep. All right, so the article for today, local SEO strategy for multiple locations, everything you need to know. This is from SEMrush, a great tool. We use it regularly, and it's written by Aaron Agius. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, and Patif to you. And let's jump in. If you have a local business or multiple locations, then your online local presence is key to success. You cannot ignore local SEO. And we're going to go through 6.6 key points in your local SEO strategy for multiple locations. Number one, local SEO basics. One page for one location. These should not be identical. They should include the location name, address, and phone number, NAP, we're familiar with that, location-specific content, an embedded Google map, descriptions of where and how to get your business, location, of course, in terms of specific comments and reviews from customers, location-specific title tags and meta descriptions, and images from inside your business and the team members that work there. Anything else to, like, I feel like that's pretty much covers all of it.
Well, yeah, there's certainly some stuff I would add. I would add just first, SEMrush is a great tool. There are other great tools out there, but you probably want to be looking at Search Console data more than anything else, because that is absolutely accurate. These are predictive tools. They use their own algorithms. So they're good to give you a predictive indicator, but they're not true data. And so you shouldn't be using those if you're a client, or even if you're agency or account manager. It's not completely accurate. So don't rely completely on it, but it is a great tool for research and things of that nature. So
you're talking about SEMrush?
I'm talking about SEMrush. Like,
yeah.
Love it. But, caveat there. And then, there's a lot of things that go into Google My Business. And certainly there's a lot of data points. I think this article, I did take a look at it before. Did you read off all the data points? Did I miss that? Did I just zone out of why the map? And that's actually a different search engine. So
right.
It's a different search engine than National Search, and they look at a little bit different metrics, and it's being used more and more. So Google's doing a lot better with their ads on mobile. Maps is starting to take up a lot more room. Natural search definitely has its place, but maps are becoming more and more of an issue. One of the big things that you highlighted is, and I've had this conversation with a number of clients that have multiple locations, you need a separate page attached to each location, and it needs to be specific to that, because that's what the algorithm for GNB is looking at specifically, of optimization of that page.
It's looking at the cross-reference of your GMB listing, which we'll talk about here in a second, and your actual page, so that they conform with each other.
We had an issue with one client that was ranking in, they had one page for multiple areas, but the GNB was tied to one specific area where the address was, and having that other city on that page to be kind of dual use was causing problems with ranking in their GNB. So that's certainly important. I mean, I think probably there's certain factors that are more important, but the rule of thumb with Google, just like with WordPress websites or any website, if there's forms or fields, if there's fields that need to be filled out on the back end of the GNB, if you can fill them out, fill them out. The more data, the better. So Google can make that decision. And then think about what you're doing in a way that is not creating confusing signals. So a lot of people are like, and we can probably talk about this later, but are posting on GNB. But if you're trying to rank for a particular topic, don't start talking about all kinds of other topics, because try to create that relevancy or density in that specific topic. I mean, Google is smart, but creating other signals could cause some confusion. And that's one of the bigger issues that I see with GNB. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So make sure that you've got those individual pages. And then point number 2, how to optimize local SEO for multiple locations, is optimize your Google My Business listings. Add the URLs for each of your location pages to your business profile. So you're linking, you want to make sure you've got good cross-linking there. Follow Google guidelines to optimize each of your location pages. Verify each location. These are the guidelines. List accurate hours. Add photos. What's not on here is videos. I would suggest you add videos. Manage and respond to reviews. Also keep in mind some important rules about multiple location listings. Name consistency. And in this case, they give the example, Aaron gives the example of the Home Depot should be the Home Depot everywhere. It shouldn't be Home Depot at Springfield and then the Home Depot in some places. The only caveat to this is if it actually serves different purposes. And he talks about a particular brand that had hotels in one location, pubs in another location, and then the listing should be different. But unless that's true, like if you're the pet supply store, then be the pet supply store wherever you're at.
So a couple things just that off the top of my head that you didn't mention is I think you want to link from the GNB to the location page, and also from the location page, the short link to the GNB, right? So you want to create that connection multiple ways and connect it to anything else that's relevant to that location. I don't know how many clients I've seen recently that didn't have any products or services, depending on what you're selling in the GNB. There's a places for services and description. And also, like, if you sell any kind of products and geo-specific, maybe someone's coming into your location, or you're trying to rank for that local relevance, you can add in all that product information from the picture all the way through, and then, geotag the images as well, is certainly helpful. So there's certainly things, I believe that what he shared covers the basics, but there are some kind of advanced things that you want to consider to get that extra edge. So
excellent. All right, number 3. Again, this is how to optimize local SEO for multiple locations, utilizing Google My Business Insights. So dig as far as you can. It's been improving. I think you just talked about that. Dig further, and you can see data for, one, how customers search for your business. You mentioned that. Where customers view your business. So where are they finding you from in search or in maps? Customer actions. Did they visit the website? Did they ask for directions? Did they get phone calls? Unlike older versions of Google My Business, you can now get that data for the last 3 months. So investigate. Maybe your customers are transferring or changing over time. Certainly very relevant during kind of COVID lockdown. Now we're kind of coming out of COVID. Keep an eye on if that transition is happening, and should you be making adjustments based on that transition.
Yeah, I think one of the things when you were talking that I thought about, local area relevance, right? Google, there's a lot of updates, which I know you mentioned, but we didn't talk about.
We got it started.
We can talk about at the end of this. But essentially, Google is looking at click-through rates. Google is looking at local relevance, where those IP addresses are, what people are doing when they come to the website. So again, Search Console, you can see what pages, like that target page, is it ranking for the keywords you want to rank for, because your GNB could show up for different things. There are other tools out there. I think actually SEMrush is experimenting with this, but where you can see like a map based on the geolocation in different directions. As you move out, where you rank, right? So you should rank number 1, like if you're in the location minimally, right? And then as you move out, you might stay in that snack pack or top 3, or move outside that. How do you increase that authority so you grow that presence? And really ideally, is you have multiple locations in a city, you're overlaying that where anywhere someone is, you're showing up in that 3-pack, because that's where it really counts, right? That's where a lot of the traffic's going. And some of this, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but one of the great ways that we're starting to utilize for SEO is we're actually utilizing PPC to create for certain keywords that local relevance, get Google the information it knows to figure out what's happening, how that page is responding versus other pages, that sort of thing. I mean, a lot of these updates, I feel like Google, some of their like learning algorithms, maybe they changed it, and there's a lot of these, there's a lot of relearning going on. Things that Google understood that were associated with other things, it doesn't understand that anymore. Like certain clients were ranking for terms that the keyword might not even be on the page, right? So Google was getting really smart.
It was relevant, yeah.
Right, because it was relevant. But now some of those terms have dropped off, and it's, that keyword's not anywhere on the page, so can you really expect that, right? In the past, you could say, hey, Google's getting smarter and it's learning that. So I think there's been some things that are being reset, things that are getting shaken out. I think, over time that will continue to develop again. But at least right now, really making sure that, if this page I want to show up in this GNB for this keyword, this page that I'm linking to also needs to show up for that keyword, right? And it needs to have people that are searching for that keyword going to that page to get some of that relevant data on, dwell time, also click-through rate, all that sort of thing. Are they taking action? So again, it's kind of like a microcosm of broader SEO, but it's very specific to what you're trying to achieve. And it makes a lot of sense, right? You got to have local relevance if you're trying to show up for a location in G&B.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So number 4, this is 6 ways to optimize local SEO for multiple locations. Manage your citations. And this is so the first thing to know about citations, already been mentioned, NAP, name, address, and phone number. They must be exactly the same in everywhere that you find yourself, on your website's local page, on your GMB, on everything. It says if your listings are inconsistent, it can hurt your SEO. I'm going to replace can with will hurt your SEO. To prevent this, I love this. You need to scour the web and make sure your NAP is consistent for each of your business locations. Yelp, Yahoo Local, Bing Places, Foursquare, Yellow Pages. Get in there and figure them out and make sure they're exactly the same. He says you can use a citation tracking tool like SEMrush's listing management tool. I've never used that specific tool. We've got a couple other tools. Matt, I don't know if you've used that tool.
We have used that for a couple clients. It's a little bit pricey, but you can use like an operator function. Chris, could you share some of the maybe operator functions in Google, like if like site colon, that sort of thing? To you need to search your name and figure out where you're showing up and make sure that information is accurate. I think that's one of the most important things that you can do. I think related to NAP listings, if you're a SMB, make sure it's an actual location. We've had clients get dinged for using multiple companies out of one location, like, separate it, suite 1 or suite A, suite B. Also, even based on some of the Google Maps in industrial locations, you got to be careful. Any home locations, like Google wants you to have a location in that area. They don't want you to have a PO box. I know that's kind of old knowledge, but I think one of the big things is you need to have a certified location and do a mail listing, a mailing listing, not just like a phone verification, to get some real relevance. A lot of the updates last year were really targeting kind of shady tactics with G&Bs, but even legitimate instances where multiple businesses out of one location is an issue. Sometimes if Google Maps doesn't understand where that location is it a well-developed area? Is it reflective on the Google Maps? And even people want to add like an additional location, so they'll use like a home address or something like that, starts to become problematic. You got to follow the process with Google. Like if one gets banned, don't just go set up another one. That causes even more problems. And so, I think that there's been some issues with G&B, and luckily we've hired some people straight out of Google that can help navigate some of their customer service and potentially expedite what's happening. Because sometimes you think you're doing the right thing, or you're doing something that's playing by the rules, and you get dinged for it, and then it becomes extremely problematic. Because if you're not showing up in G&B, or your G&B gets restricted, it will impact a huge portion, maybe even 30% of the traffic flow.
Especially when you're talking about local SEO, like it's impactful, kind of nationwide, worldwide, whatever, but especially when it comes to your local SEO. The site colon is basically, you just use site colon, and maybe you want to search yahoo.com. You would literally in a Google search bar type site colon, no space, yahoo.com, and then space, whatever the phrase you're looking for. And that'll present to you only where that phrase was found, only on that site that you looked up. And so that can give you a good idea of how your name is appearing on that site.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. This is 6 ways to optimize local SEO for multiple locations. Build links to each of your location pages. Link building is important. If you didn't know that, you probably this has got to be the first podcast that you're listening to of ours. Link building is incredibly important, and there's some really good tools. Aaron went into some really good ideas about how to build links. One of them, and I don't know if you got something before I jump into these, Matt. Let me know.
I mean, I had a conversation today with a client that's trying to link for, local SEO, national SEO in a specific area. But one of the things that's super important is not just link building, okay, but local relevant links, right? And so some places that are really good to go to, and he might mention some of this, but what I was talking with the client is, okay, are there any chambers? Is there any local, this was a home buyer, so any, investment groups that are local? Are you a member of the BBB? Would consider it, right? How to create these local relevant links. There's a lot of like PR, like local media newspapers that have options to have a digital extension. Might want to consider that. A lot of like when people come to us, the role that we kind of default move into is digital consultant on their strategy with their entire marketing budget of, okay, should I go here or should I go here? Or what about this or would I do that? And we can help manage that entire process. We are certainly a vendor if you need, SEO or PPC or social media or whatever, but also the digital strategy component is extremely important because you want to make sure that strategy is right. Because if you have the wrong strategy, you can dump a lot of money into some things that might not get you the miles that you need of where you're trying to get to. I mean, a lot of digital marketing, because more people are coming into it, it's being more competitive. People are seeing the advantages of it. It could be a drop in the bucket or a drop in the ocean, really, if you put the money towards the wrong dollar. So having the right strategy from the get-go is incredibly important.
And that strategy can incorporate the traditional marketing, right? Like the radio marketing, the print marketing. I mean, print marketing, almost every print, frankly, every print that you might ever encounter is going to have a website. And so just buying some print ads could be a way to get some good local relevant links. Although, guest posting would be better.
Well, yeah, that's actually one of the most recent updates. It's a spam update that's going after guest posting. There's another EAT update that's coming out in a couple of months that's going to rock the SEO's world in general. Like understanding like the authority behind who's saying what, right? So there's certainly a lot of ways to navigate through this. I had a thought and I totally forgot. So keep going. And if I come up with it, I will bring it up.
Jump back in. Yeah. All right. So some of the techniques that Aaron goes over are become a sponsor. It's like it's popular tactics, sponsor local events, participate in charities, host events. Maybe there's some sort of event that you could host. That's going to create buzz about the business anyway. And wherever you're hosting the events there's going to be some sort of link strategy associated with that. Host meetups, right? Meetup is a great website. You could have meetups there. Those are going to link back to your website. Start content marketing. Hopefully you're already doing content marketing, but you remembered your idea.
I did. So talking about traditional avenues, we did do a podcast a while back with one of the top guys at Google. It's worth to go back and listen to. But we're talking about creating, like getting involved in the community, showing online, like your presence offline and online, like should start to be synonymous. Like, I mean, there's a lot with the metaverse and crypto and like the future of gaming and all this kind of stuff, but your online and offline presence need to match. And that's a lot of like, even this EAT update with authority, like if you're a doctor, like your reviews online, or if you have a malpractice lawsuit or whatever, like that's going to be taken into consideration, like who you are, right? And so you got to have people to be able to find that. But one of the big things that I took away from that podcast we did last year was when people are searching for you and you build brand recognition, because we also know that Google loves brands, right? Yeah. So utilizing radio or print or whatever, when people are searching for you by name, it carries a weighting. You know what I mean? It carries a weighting, and you want people to search for you specifically because they're seeking out your brand. There's a higher conversion rate. And so utilizing traditional media, especially even on a local level, right? Like if people in the community are talking about you, it makes an impact, and Google is looking for those things. Google and Facebook kind of made up. They weren't, Facebook wasn't letting Google like index them in the past, and they've kind of worked out a deal. So things that are being posted in Facebook and communities and people mentioning names, all that kind of stuff is having relevance. Google's trying to look at the entirety of what's going on. Do follow links, do not follow links, things that are happening in the community. Also, it weights different things like a church site, right? If a local church or a local soccer group sponsoring, that site doesn't have to be built with the same, like, you know, the expectation for Google as far as like following the rules or the guidelines is not as high. But if it is local and it's very similar to other, you know, sporting groups or churches or whatever is local, it needs to fall in line with that. But getting those links certainly have value as well. And I think a lot of people don't consider those links as valuable if they're not hitting all these metrics. But Google knows what it's doing, right? Yeah. And so in a lot of ways, so that's something to look for. And all the things you talked about is creating local relevance to getting involved in the community, and that's really what Google wants to see. And what users want to see, right? They don't want to be a faceless, nameless brand. You got to have those images and those pictures about the company, you know, people talking about you in the local community. Those are all the things you want to see, right? So,
yeah. So we kind of left off with start content marketing. Hopefully you're already doing content marketing and know that this content marketing needs to have a local flair, right? Event sponsorship. I feel like we kind of talked about that in terms of, you know, host events, but you can also just sponsor those events. Yeah, it may be a do not follow, but it is still very local and very relevant. And then finally, structured data for local. This is if you want to show up on maybe a Google Map panel or some sort of carousel listing. One of the things that'll get you there is having structured data. And I know we do a lot of that. Schema or Google structured data for developers are some of the references that Aaron gave in order to kind of figure out what you need to do there. All right, now we're at number 6 of 6 ways to optimize local SEO for multiple locations. Manage your reviews. Matt, how much do we like reviews?
Reviews are vital.
Yeah. In fact, we like them so much, we'd like you to stop right now, go to ewrdigital.com/reviews and leave us a review. That'll take you to our GMB page where you can hopefully leave us a review, and that review can be 5 stars. Yeah. But you were saying how much we like reviews, Matt.
Well, you know, really when COVID hit, and really we launched a video production team to create local video content, also storytelling, a number of products or services. Long form content is really important. But when COVID hit, that completely froze, and we got involved. And protestimonial.com, which we won't play the long, we need a short version of our commercial, but essentially, you know, getting video reviews are key. Video reviews are the most powerful, right? Where someone says their name or their business and like they're factually saying it, like that's the most trusted review. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, having a picture, full name or title of, or whatever type of business, having that. And then, you know, just text reviews are just not as powerful anymore. People want to trust that this is an honest review. Yeah. And they want to hear that person, because a lot of people look at reviews. I forget the correct terminology, but they're using aggregated reviews as equivalent of a referral from a friend, right? And so the more they can hear that person, the language, the tone, everything they're saying, they can take away from that the knowledge they need to better make a decision. And so, you know, reviews is something on the website or on the GNB. I think you need to have 11 or 12 reviews for it to be an aggregated number that people really start to trust. I think that was like the magic number. But also, if you look at your competitors, if they have 300 something reviews and you have 20, people are going to default to that higher reviewed site. So it should really be part of your process to collect reviews. Also, reviews from like building out your online profile. Okay. Building out your online profile is extremely important. It's going to be more important as time goes on. There's like Gravatar for WordPress, where it kind of links all your profiles together. When you post on Google, you want to set up your profile in there. And so if you can do that, that will help tremendously on trust, right? Of the trust for the reviews, right? So it's, if you're leaving a review or someone leaves a review, but they have no online profile, right? It's not as trustworthy as if someone has a fully built out profile with the picture, a description, and they've maybe left other reviews other places. So again, I think a recommendation for everyone is your online presence is becoming more and more synonymous with your in-person presence, right? Like before, you maybe have your LinkedIn profile and then you had your Facebook profile, but like everything's like merging to, what is it called? Convergence or whatever the, time zero horizon. But essentially it's true. I mean, it's becoming more and more important. Even with schema markup, you can do something called like same as, and you can connect different pieces of content and things together. So
to link them together. Excellent. So one of the things about reviews and managing reviews is, how do you deal with a bad review? Like, what's the strategy for dealing with a bad review? And so one of them is respond quickly, remove all emotion. In fact, if you're the business owner, one, it's good actually if the business owner responds, and two, it's bad if the business owner responds, because the business owner often takes it incredibly personally, which is great. Take it personally, but respond professionally. Go ahead and write that whatever lambasting, horrific review first on a sheet of paper off to the side, where you can give that, ungrateful customer a piece of your mind, and then actually write your professional version.
Well, what I think one of the most important things to do, and we tell this to people that are working with clients or account managers, is, it becomes sometimes personal, and you take it as a personal kind of thing. If you're going to respond, make sure there's no emotion in it. So you can write the email, but reread it. Wait till it's
have somebody else reread it.
Yeah, reread it. And like, if there's any emotion in what you're doing, don't send it. Right. So.
Yeah, 100%. And then like two other points, make sure you're not blaming the customer. And then also make sure that the language you use can't be deemed inflammatory.
I mean, I would think the best way to handle it is respond quickly, respond professionally, really know that you are basically putting your side of the story out to the world. So you can say, I'm sorry you feel this way. You can address it slightly, and you say, hey, if you can contact me, we would really like to get this addressed. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's what people are looking for. People are looking for people that, okay, nobody's perfect. If they're not, they're going to work to make it right. Right. I think that that's really important to quality customer service. But then also what you can do from that is, if you've been able to work with them and fix it, you can a lot of times ask them to go take it down. Right. And so getting them to remove the review is probably the ideal situation. The second most is sharing your viewpoint without, going into a ton of detail and in a professional way, responding to like the situation, because know that people are going to see what people say. And most of the time, right, people look at the bad reviews as well as the good reviews, because they want to see the bad reviews. Like, okay, you got a lot of good reviews, but I want to see the bad reviews. I want to see how they handle it. I want to see what those are. So it's really important to share the response as in other people would be reading that and seeing it. And that's a lot of times maybe how you need to write it as well. Because I think that that's what people are going to look at most. So.
That all makes perfect sense. And then how do you get good reviews? Well, one, use pro testimonials. Like that works. Include calls to action at your physical locations. He kind of gave the example of a QR code, right? That makes it easier.
Yeah, that's good.
All of your emails should have a signature, like leave us a review. And that could be a widget. He talks about a Bright local widget that enables you to get reviews. So these are all, that's it. That's the 6 ways to optimize local SEO for multiple locations. Aaron Agius, like patif to you. We really appreciate you writing this great article. And yeah, I think we agreed with everything on that particular article.
Yeah, I would just say also build a process build into your, like, whatever your process is to ask for a review. So I think that if you feel that you've earned a review, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable asking for that review. And typically 40% of the people that you feel you've earned the review for and you ask for it have no problem giving you that review. So that's pretty close to 50%, or every other person you ask will give you a review. So that's really a differentiating factor between like the reviews, because I think that there's a lot of great services and businesses and products out there that people haven't built that into their process. So therefore, it looks like they're not as good as other products or businesses. I mean, I'll give you an example. On Amazon, there's so many affiliate vendors that resell the exact same thing, right? The exact same thing. And then there's certain people that have a ton of reviews and other people that don't. I would think the biggest difference is because they're asking for it.
Yeah.
So
well, and actually, there's an
algorithm.
There's been a recent. Amazon banned some of their major brands. Like, kudos to them, because they were fishing for reviews. So there's a difference between asking for a review and fishing, offering freebies to get that.
Exchange, like that's the same thing with like guest posts and all these other things. Like it's the intent in when you're interacting with these businesses. And, again, we go back to it over and over again. If you're doing things the right way, Google will reward you, right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, 100%. All right. So patif to Aaron. Do you want to maybe pop our algorithm discussion on another podcast, or you want to do it here, like another short podcast?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, this one we're pushing on 40 minutes here, so we can do another quick review and focus specifically and go through a lot of those updates, because I can tell you there was, 3 updates this month. There was 5 updates last month. There's a lot of things changing in SEO right now. We always say SEO is a moving target. It's absolutely true. So yeah, let's go ahead and end this one, and then we'll do another one. Yeah.
Excellent. So if you're tuning in, first, we want to thank you. You guys have made us the most popular SEO podcast and one of the most popular internet marketing podcasts in the known universe. So we appreciate you. We gave the link where you could leave us a review. Like, Matt and I don't get paid to do this, so we get paid in reviews. So ewrdigital.com/reviews will get you to a great place to leave a review. Or you can go to our Facebook page and leave us a review there. And you can get there by going to facebook.com/best SEO podcast. And we're going to wrap this podcast. So thank you. And until the next podcast, my name's Chris Burris.
My name is Matt Bertram.
Bye-bye for now.